Hi, my name is Paris and I'm the author of the Mageye trilogy. In today's video, I'm going to be reading the first chapter of the Mageye to you guys. So this is a pretty extensive excerpt and let's get started. 3 men found after a witch hunt, Wren read aloud as he leaned over Ryder's shoulder. He reached to grab the newspaper from him. Wait, that sounds interesting. Why are you drawing on it? Ryder yanked the newspaper away. Don't touch it, it will smudge. He had been using charcoal to draw an intricately detailed eye, using words from the newspaper to fill the irises. Besides, he continued, this is from 5 years ago. There's nothing relevant in here. Are we not going to talk about how Wren just called bodies interesting? I asked as I leaned closer to admire Ryder's drawing. He angled it towards me so I could get a better look. I remember that, my mom said, looking up from the dishes. They were looking for a girl they claimed was using black magic. She frowned. Poor child. What happened to the girl? I asked. She shrugged. She disappeared. Maybe that was what her power was, Wren said, blue eyes wide. She could turn invisible. Our eldest brother, Raymond, laughed. Sounds more like satanic worship to me. Come on, guys. You know magic isn't real. I'm inclined to agree with you on that, Ray, Mom said. Raymond groaned. Mom, you know how much I hate being called Ray. She gave him a fake pout. Honey, your father and I named you Raymond with the nicknamed Ray in mind. Why can't I use it? I'm your mother. Because I don't like it. I'm 19, not 9. What nickname did you have in mind for me? Wren asked mischievously. Rename, Ryder said seriously. They didn't like your real name, so I thought they would call you that instead. What? That's stupid, Wren said. I laughed. I don't know. I kind of like it. It has a nice ring to it. See, Ryder said, pointing at me with his charcoal, his blue eyes alit with smug glee. Rose agrees. Well, she's of the wrong opinion, Wren said as he leaned over Ryder's shoulder to watch him draw. After a moment, he looked back up at our mom. You never answered my question. What nickname did you have in mind for me? Mom didn't look up from the soapy water in the wash basin. Well, the nickname we had planned for you would have been Rye. Since you were a surprise, we didn't really have anything special for you. Wren choked as Ryder laughed gleefully. Yeah, Wren, I was the expected one, not you. Raymond grinned. Maybe that's why your name is too short for a nickname. They came up with your name in the nick of time. At least my nickname isn't Ray or Rye, Wren shot back mischievously. Mom sighed dramatically. It's almost as if all of the thought your father and I put into your names has gone to waste. If he were still alive, he would be very upset about this. I haven't complained about my name, I pointed out. Thank you, Rose. She smiled at me, her blue eyes twinkling. She wiped her hands off with an old rag and walked to the kitchen counter. Picking up a wicker basket, she placed it on the table in front of me. Rose, do you think you could go strawberry picking for me? If you get enough, maybe I'll make a pie. I grinned. Strawberry pie was a rare treat. How many? Fill the whole thing. And don't eat too many, Wren teased. Otherwise, we'll catch you red-handed. Raymond shook his head, but his blue eyes creased with laughter. Ha ha, Wren. I stood up from the table, pushing my chair in and grabbing the basket. I'll head out now. Mom laughed. I didn't say you needed to rush right out this instant. How are we supposed to make a pie without strawberries to fill it? She shook her head. You and Wren are the same with your sweet tooth. Hey, Wren protested. Don't rope me into this. I smirked at him. I guess you don't want any pie then. His eyes widened in mock horror, and he pushed me towards the door. I never said that. Now hurry up and get the strawberries. I laughed. All right, geez, no need to shove. Wren grinned at me, his brown hair half covering one eye. Says you, these strawberries are a necessity. Bye, Rose, Mom called. Be careful. I will. Wait up, Rose, Ryder said as he jumped to his feet, carefully picking up his drawing. Let me put this upstairs, and I'll walk out with you. He quickly pushed past me and ran up the wooden wall stairs to his and Wren's bedroom. Wren and Ryder were practically inseparable and shared almost everything, including looks. The only physical difference between the two 17-year-olds was their height and hair. Wren was about an inch taller, although Ryder always insisted it was his boots. However, their height difference while barefoot said otherwise. I stood by the front door, counting flowers on the wallpaper while I waited. Ryder jogged back down a minute later. "Thanks for waiting." I smiled and led the way out to the front step of our beautiful cottage. "Where are you going?" "To the market. Mom wants me to see if they have any new chicks for sale." "Really? How many will you be getting?" "None if you keep holding me up," he said as he bent to adjust his boot buckle. I laughed and rolled my eyes. "Make sure you get cute ones." "Is there such a thing as an ugly one to you?" He straightened to his full height. "I swear, I think your magically colored eyes don't let you see any animal as ugly." I laughed again, shaking my head. "Maybe." Everyone in my family had sky blue eyes, except for my late father and I. My green eyes resembled peridot, a gem many women wore as jewelry. And my father's eyes had been gray, like storm clouds. Ryder turned to walk around the back of the house to the stables. "I'm going to take Lucy since she won't jolt the chicks like the other horses." Lucy was a beautiful gray mare and our favorite horse. She was Esmeralda's daughter, our father's horse, and had inherited her mother's gentle demeanor. "See you later, Rose," Ryder called, "and be careful." "I will. Good luck at the market." As Ryder walked away, I turned down the cobblestone path and opened the white picket fence surrounding our small cottage. Shutting it behind me, I turned left onto the packed dirt street. Taking a breath of fresh air as I walked towards the woods, I let the wicker basket swing by my side. I waved at some of our neighbors as I walked past and continued down the open streets until I reached the end of our small village, Sunset Hollow. Sunset Hollow was a town in Alvarado. It got its name thanks to the beautiful sunsets over Cherry Ridge. The village was small, but the center was always busy, particularly during market days. Merchants and traders from all over Alvarado would gather to sell and trade their goods there. Alvarado was a large island ruled by Queen Cynthia. However, unlike many of our neighboring countries, Queen Cynthia did not rule with an iron fist. Our towns governed themselves by following a guideline she had set in place. The result was a happy country with differing towns within, the expected results of the freedom she gave her citizens. Queen Cynthia allowed her citizens to live anywhere in the country we wished. Much of it was open wilderness, with small towns scattered throughout, separated by miles of forest. The capital city was on the southernmost tip of Alvarado, and Sunset Hollow was near the center of the country. However, our town's guard, the Sunset Guard, were amongst the highest-ranking guards in the country. During times of crisis, they would be the first guards Queen Cynthia would bring back to the capital city. The cool shade of the woods welcomed me as I walked down a well-worn traveling path. Half an hour later, I arrived at my family's favorite wild strawberry patch. The path led right through the middle of the patch, and everywhere I looked was red or green. Sunlight streamed through the leaves, and I smiled as I made my way into the patch. The sweet scent of fresh strawberries filled the air. I knelt down, carefully tucking my dress under my knees, and began picking. It didn't take long for my fingers to be stained red. After picking the bushes by the path bare, I strayed farther into the patch, carefully stepping over the small plants as I went. From time to time, a traveler would walk past on their way into or out of Sunset Hollow. I would smile and wave before continuing to fill my basket. When it was finally full, I walked carefully back towards the path through the bushes. I plucked the top off of a small strawberry and popped it in my mouth as I stepped over a thorny-looking bush. My foot slipped, and I yelped as I lost my balance, twisting my ankle as I fell. I took a sharp intake of breath as I landed in the thorns. Ouch! The basket of strawberries had rolled onto the path before settling upright. I sat, stunned for a moment, before carefully pulling myself away from the thorny bush. My right ankle throbbed painfully, and traces of blood etched down my leg from the thorns. My dress was still caught in the thorns, so I pulled it away to take a look at my leg. Blood dripped down towards my stocking. I untied my apron and patted my leg to clean it up before all of my clothing got stained. My apron would take the fall today, since it was meant to get dirty anyway. When I pulled it back, the blood was gone from my leg. I took a shaky breath of relief, my heart rate returning to normal after the initial fall. My apron was stained with blood, so I put it near the basket of strawberries. I had tripped, that was all. Now, my problem was my ankle. I put my hands on my boot to take it off, then hesitated while recalling the time Ryder had sprained his ankle when he was 9. It had been a bad sprain, and when my mom took his boot off, he had screamed and begged for her to stop. Raymond had taken me outside after that and kept me distracted, but his cries from the pain had never left me. I rolled my ankle in a slow circle. My tendons ached as they stretched, but the ache soon became a relieving strain. I pointed my toe out as the last of the strain left, then rolled it some more. The pain was gone. Now, I took off my boot and stocking, then felt down my ankle. It felt perfectly fine. Maybe it hadn't been a sprain, but a cramp or something? Whatever the case, I put my stocking and boot back on before hopping to my feet. I shot the thorn bush a stern glare before realizing that the stinging from the cuts down my leg was gone. Except for one. I pulled my skirt back again and saw a long thorn sticking out from the side of my calf. I grabbed it and carefully pulled it out. A droplet of blood followed and began a slow descent down my leg. I grabbed my clean apron and went to blot it, but instead I watched in fascination as it went back up my leg and disappeared without a trace. Huh? I poked the spot where the cut was, but there was no pain. Why had all of my wounds suddenly stopped hurting? Great. Now Ren would accuse me of eating strawberries when I came home with a red-stained apron, since I had no cuts to defend myself with. That was, except for the fact that there were no stains other than dirt on my apron. I unfolded it and held it at arm's length, scanning it for blood, but none was there. I tossed it aside, then immediately regretted it, since it would only get more dirt on it. So, I picked it up and tied it back on, turning instead to the strawberry basket. Only a few had spilled, so I picked it back up, wincing when my finger got pricked by a long splinter from the handle. I pulled my hand back, and the pain immediately faded. At this, I finally paused. Wait a second. I returned to the thorn bush and carefully pricked the tip of my finger on one of the thorns. The pain was sharp, and a droplet of blood began to blossom, but before it could spill out, it disappeared. I jumped back, my heart racing once more. What just happened? Were my wounds healing? I sucked the tip of my finger, still half expecting the metallic taste of blood, but instead I spat out the taste of dirt. I eyed my finger suspiciously. Maybe the wound was so small my brain couldn't register it and had added imaginary blood to cope. A few birds flitted by, catching my attention. I watched them for a moment before turning back to my finger. Then I looked down at my leg. I lifted up my right leg and rolled it in circles again. I put it back down and leaned my weight onto it, my heart beginning to race. 3 men found after a witch hunt. Is that what had happened to me? My wounds were healing by magic? But I wasn't a witch. I would just go home and explain what had happened to my mom. She would know how to fix this. I barely made it 10 feet before I stopped again. What would I tell her? That my wounds magically healed? She would just think I was continuing the jokes from this morning. I could show her, but she'd never let me actually hurt myself. She would probably think I was sick or something. Even if she did let me demonstrate, what if it didn't heal? Then she would definitely think that I was sick. And what if the Sunset Guard somehow found out? They would assume I was crazy, and I would risk being taken away from my family. Or, if they saw my wounds healed, they would think I was using some form of black magic. But I wasn't. Was I? I pulled on my braid, twisting the bottom of it between my fingers. There had to be someone who would believe me. What about the twins? Could I try to tell them? No, they'd just tease me. That left Raymond, but I couldn't tell him either. He'd react the same way as Mom. Could I talk to some of my neighbors? Mrs. Bentley was kind, but she would tell my mom if I told her. Priest Wilson would definitely suspect me of black magic. Most of the girls my age would be scared and let the secret slip. That left no one. I needed to keep this a secret and figure this out on my own. I rubbed my hand down my calf once more. Maybe the shadows of the trees were playing tricks on my eyes. If I cut my finger again in my room where there were no shadows, maybe it wouldn't do anything. I probably hadn't hurt myself here at all. I had imagined it. Maybe I had eaten something bad. That was it. I had eaten too many strawberries and was hallucinating from them. Ren had warned me not to eat too many after all. Oh, who was I kidding? No one hallucinated after eating strawberries. And I had felt the pain, which meant it had to have been real. That left only one explanation. Something was seriously wrong with me. That It's the first chapter of the Mageye. I hope it caught your attention. If you want to find out what happens next, I have links down below to Amazon, or send me an email for a signed copy. I would love to hear your thoughts on the first chapter. I actually haven't read it in its entirety since I published, so it's been a little bit. Again, I hope you enjoyed, and whatever time it is, whether it's morning, evening, or night, have a great day.